Yo, what's up? My name's Clarence,
And I'm DJ Nuna,
and you're listening to Up in the Air.
a podcast on our thoughts, moods, and experiences on the personal, political, and cultural world around us. Come float with us. What is up, everyone? Thank you so much for joining us. We have a special episode today featuring us. we were kind of reflecting on all of our episodes in the past, and we really have loved having guests for almost every single episode. But we were reminded that when we first started out with Up in the Air, it really was just Clarence and I, and we did that for a really long chunk of time.
Like a long time.
We
I mean,
did.
we played a lot of music, but
Yeah.
yeah, we did that for a long time, and we just talked about everything and nothing at the same time.
And it was honestly impressive, like how long we were able to go just talking the two of us and like
Yeah.
navigating those new conversations. So we kind of thought it would be nice to, settle back a little bit and get reconnected to how we first started, and yeah, kind of converse between the two of us, because Clarence and I are good friends, but when we talk, it's not always about like getting to know each other, because we feel like we know each other pretty well.
Jubilee only hits me up when she needs something.
I feel like Clarence knows that I won't respond for a day, or I think I'll respond like after a day, like, oh shit, sorry, I didn't see this.
You do this thing where like you see it and you're like, I'm gonna respond later, and then you just
Yeah,
forget.
and then it disappears out of my mind. And for real, I know that other people were going through this, but in quarantine, I will do that, and it'll be in the back of my head. It's not like I forget, but then like 2 weeks will pass and I'll just be thinking about it for 2 weeks, and it's like it would only take 2 minutes for me to respond.
So this is what happens. You get the text, right, and you see it, and you're like, oh my god, that's great. I have a response in my head already, but I'm gonna wait on it because not too fast, and then I'll come back to it later,
It's
and then
genuinely out of like thought and care,
switch apps. You go
because like it's out of care,
And then you
because
switch to TikTok and you're like, oh my god.
I'm like, I'm busy, I'm doing hot girl shit, I'm on TikTok.
You're on TikTok and then you like talk to your plants and you water them and
Sip for me, sip for you. Anyways, everyone, we recently, Clarence and I, had a really fun Zoom call with some of our close friends. With shout out to Sabrina, Rihanna, Ibrahima, and Sammy, and Injury. Almost forgot a few people there. And we just had a really great Zoom call. And we know that oftentimes, these virtual interactions can become repetitive or even a bit energy draining. But this was like a really, really seamless time. We got to really know them on a more personal level, and we played the awesome game called We're Not Really Strangers. This game is all about practicing vulnerability and really cherishing connections, which, yeah, my homie Clarence needs to work on. Just kidding.
Well, okay. So my understanding is that there are 3 levels to this game, and it's essentially just like helping you deepen either existing relationships or create new ones. So like you can start as like strangers and then kind of go through these questions and get to know each other, or you can even start as like friends or even like people who are in like actual relationships and like deepen those.
Yeah.
Which I thought was fun because like for us, between the people on the call, like we're all either like in school together or you've known someone else like from something different, and it was just like nice to have that conversation because you don't have that often, especially like nowadays when we're online. Like you want to be in the Zoom call and be like, my deepest fear is.
For sure. And, especially for Clarence and I, we are basically, we're strangers. We don't talk that often. So we're excited to do this. Actually, for
We
real,
got your energy sometimes.
sometimes, I don't know. I am reminded that Clarence and I met like 2 years ago. And I think it's kind of fascinating when you make a friend from scratch. And by that, I mean like no mutual, well, we did have mutuals, but we didn't meet through mutuals. We just met like literally from class. So it's interesting how much closer we've gotten. But yeah, One thing I learned from that Zoom call was that there's always something that we haven't talked about as friends. So we can explore that today. Clarence and I are going to take turns randomly choosing questions.
Yes, we're gonna do 3 questions each.
Mm-hmm. And wait, each? I think we
We're
gotta
gonna-
do
Okay, we're gonna do
collectively.
4 questions total.
Collectively. Okay.
Yes, four
All
questions
right,
total.
Clarence, you can take us away and pick the first one.
Okay, this one is just a little like warm up question, but um, can you please pull up your music library and press shuffle and explain the first song that comes up?
Yes, sir. We
And how
did
your
this
decision.
song, or we did this question with our friends, and it's actually a really fun icebreaker, I think. Hopefully, I know the song that I
Hmm, this is funny.
go for it.
Okay, well, I got "Be Yourself" by Frank Ocean. I'm gonna be honest, like I love Frank Ocean, but I haven't revisited Blonde in a minute, and I think like when I do listen to it, it puts me in a place where I feel like sad, you know?
You're like paralyzed with
It's
sadness,
just like it
basically.
just like takes me out of the moment and I'm just
Mhm.
like thinking about my life when I listen to Frank Ocean
Yeah.
sometimes. And that's why between like Channel Orange and Blonde, like people have said to me like, "Oh, if you like Channel Orange over Blonde, then you've never had depression." And I'm like, "You know what? I can understand that because I do find myself listening to Channel Orange more like for the vibes. Like I think it's
Mhm.
more fun. It's like, a little bit more poppy and whatnot, but yeah, Be Yourself
Yeah.
is an interesting choice.
I
I would
definitely I resonate with that. Shout out to Sammy, who I believe she was the one that said that. There's another running joke that if you listen to Channel Orange more than Blonde, then you lost your virginity in high school. um, but you're right. Blonde, I think Blonde, it's that one meme of that one cartoon like crying in bed with the earbuds in. I think that's me listening to Blonde.
That's
That is
like
also my
you listening to your simp playlist.
That's like me every night. And Blonde is my all-time favorite album, so I
Wait,
think
wait,
that's
wait. Let me just take a pause. Is that a cry for help?
the list. No, yeah, but that's an interesting one. For me, I had the song Around by Nicki.
No.
Um, and I haven't listened to the song in a minute, but it takes me back to 2018 when it first came out. And I think I've strayed away from Nicki's music. I really liked her earlier stuff, but I feel like it's taken a bit of like a pop, more I don't know what exactly it is, but like more pop pathway. But I think her lyrics in this are really beautiful. Like she says, I think it opens up with like, "You love me with your bones," and that's like simpy. And then I think a bit later it's like, I hope that we get buried, or like I hope we like she's like, I hope we get buried next to each other or some shit like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now that's deep.
Um but yeah, that's my randomly shuffled liked song.
Wait, you know that TikTok trend or challenge that she had? It was like a duet or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I love watching like cycling through those videos and
Mhm,
finding people who are like actually really, really good. It's very
mhm.
entertaining.
And like a little bit of a sidetrack, but Clarence and I were just talking about how wild it is that TikTok really has been like bringing fame to smaller
Oh my
artists
god, yeah. It
and
can literally make or break someone's career.
like overnight. And I think even like Nicki was popular, but her song Indigo was trending on TikTok. It's the one that's like, I'm your type, right? And like everyone was using that at one point. And like if you get, Charlie D'Amelio and Addison Rae to, use your song, then low key your career is set. I feel like.
Yeah, I mean like it's like how a lot of musicians, like younger musicians nowadays, are making those really short songs so that like their streaming numbers are super high, you know. And so like I don't know if you've seen on Twitter, but there'll be people like comparing like Kendrick to like some kind of younger rapper who's coming up, and they have like the same amount of monthly listeners. So it's just kind of crazy to see like that parallel. I don't know. It is
Mhm.
wild, and like also people, some musicians are creating songs like hoping to feed into that like algorithm, you know, like the
Mhm.
TikTok sort of formula.
No, yeah, definitely. But yeah, shout out to Spotify. That's our favorite music platform. If you listen to Apple Music, then you gotta switch it up. But anyways,
Uh,
I will.
Please hire me.
I know. Okay, I picked another interesting question. It's like somewhat surface level, but
Okay, sure.
I thought it was interesting. So, based on what we have learned about each other, do you think that our social medias portray us accurately? Or do you think or I guess I'm asking for me, like, do you think my social media portrays me accurately? And then I'll answer for you.
Interesting
I'm
question.
not on Instagram right now though. So
Yeah, I so yes, for those who don't know, Jubilee has deactivated her main account, but
for no reason.
if you are within her closest of close circles, you are aware that she has, you know, like two other accounts, but our podcast account and then her own like Finsta account. But um well, I would say that Finsta accounts like typically do portray people like pretty accurately just because like it's you're not afraid to post anything.
Mhm.
Um so I would say in that way, yes. But I'm trying to remember what was on your main account like before you deleted it.
It was a lot more of like photography. I made a big shift in my account to more center it around my work. Um, I would say one reason why I deleted it was because I was just being overly consumed by like Instagram stories, and I felt like I was just posting so much and sharing so much information. So,
Really?
mhm.
Oh, I didn't know that was the reason.
That was one of the reasons.
Okay.
Another reason was just like there's such an influx of information that I found myself comparing myself a lot, and I couldn't even see like my friends' posts.
Yeah.
So I like the Finsta in that sense, but
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say like yeah, it definitely doesn't accurately depict you like as a person, but it does accurately depict like what you like, I guess, in a
Mhm.
way. Like you're posting more photos, like that's something that you enjoy doing, and
Mhm.
it's kind of like your creative outlet. So
Mhm.
in that sense, it works. But I think as for like other, you know what, your Twitter, your Twitter is pretty accurate because you just like say what's on your mind and you don't care if you got like three people, like three of your friends, like woo, you know that like DJ thing where it's like just three people in the audience.
The 3.
Yeah, that's you.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think that with when I shifted into a different Instagram account, I had it in mind that I would be because I follow a few people that I've worked with in the past.
Mhm.
And yeah, I kind of do want to maintain like a somewhat more professional presence online because of toxic professionalism standards. But yeah, I agree. I do think my Finsta and my Twitter are and my TikTok are most accurately depicting me. But I'll answer for you because I think Clarence's online presence is a little bit different. Because he has one for his personal and one for his separate photo account. But I don't know. I would say that it is pretty representative of you. I think you mm, you're like a simple dude with simple not simple, but like I feel like your interests are very clear through your Instagram, like the type of music that you reshare, the design inspo you share. Like you always, I kind of know like you'll be posting food or something like, so in that sense, I think yes, it is representative of you, but yeah, I guess this means Clarence needs to start a Finsta. Get more vulnerable with it. Yeah.
I don't know. I did play with the idea of doing it, but then like
I don't know what you would even post.
I mean, I kind of like when people just post like um oh, this happens like on people's main accounts too, but like when they post just photos that they've taken maybe like throughout the week and then like
Mhm.
memes in between kind of thing, like
Oh
just
yeah.
like a compilation of things like
It's
in
called
no
photo
particular
dump.
order.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I kind of like that because yeah, it's pretty funny to see what people's like headspace is like the
Mhm.
past week. But okay, cool. I do feel like I'm trying to merge my photo account and then like my personal, but then again, like in a way, I I enjoy the fact that my personal is not related to like the work that I am
Mhm.
producing. I don't know. It's always that question of the separation between your work and then your life. And then
Mhm.
like, as a creative, like is our work our life?
Mhm. And my answer to that really quickly is no, you're not defined by your work. I feel like it's kind of sad if you put too much value. Not okay, it's not sad because your livelihood is in your work, but there's just so much outside of it. Okay, like for example, after watching Soul, the Pixar movie, it's like even if your best traits about you or your best hobbies were like stripped away from you, like you are still valuable, right? Like your purpose is not what you can offer, but just what you are. So deep, deep, getting
Ew.
into philosophy, existentialism.
Okay, okay. We're gonna go on to the third question. You ready?
Yes, sir.
It's a little bit deeper. Um, which one of your parents' personality traits do you want to keep or let go of?
I hope they don't watch this. Do you want to go first?
Okay, yeah. You want to do like one that we keep and one that we let go of? Okay.
Yeah.
Um, I'll do the one that I want to let go of first. My my mom and like I guess like on my mom's side, they like to keep a lot of stuff and like hoard like essentially hoard a lot of stuff. And I
Mm.
think I've thought about it recently and it might be like sort of this generational like trauma that we have, you know, where like our my grandparents didn't get to keep a lot of the items that they had as a kid because of like war in their country and whatnot. And so when they came to the US, like they just accumulated all these things and were like, I
Mhm.
want like they finally have control over it and they can keep it and so they want to. So I feel like that's one of those traits that like I somewhat have is I mean, if you can look behind me, like I have a lot of shit that's just just sitting there. I'm not gonna touch it, but it's like I want it, and I'm gonna
Okay.
keep it there. So
Mhm.
that's something I want to let go of. Just being able to let go of
Mhm.
literal things, and then like also that trait. But
You gotta Mary Kondo that shit.
dude, I literally gotta ask myself, does it spark joy? And if it doesn't, I'm gonna.
Mhm. Literally, Clarence. It's funny because Clarence did the whole Spark Joy thing and then passed on some old hand-me-down clothes to me, and then I did the Spark Joy thing with what he gave me, and then I took some, and then I'm donating the rest. So
Yeah.
release that
Um.
shit.
And then for something that I want to keep is my dad has a pretty good sense of humor and he laughs a lot and I really like enjoy that. Especially it's nice because nowadays like when I interact with my family, we eat dinner together almost every night and so
Mm.
we always like laugh about something.
Mm.
Recently we've been going over this joke. It's like honestly not that good of a joke, but it's just like he's been losing weight, like cutting weight, which is really good. And then we just talk about how like we like to eat these things that we know is gonna make us fat. And so then my dad would be like, "It's gonna make you fat," and then I'm like, "Nah, it's gonna make you fat." It's just so
Wait, that's so cute when I
it's so
imagine that in my
stupid, but it's like, yeah.
dude. That is so cute. Props to your pops for losing weight during quarantine.
Dude,
That's
this man lost
definitely
20 pounds.
damn. What do you do?
He said he stopped drinking. That's the
Bruh.
that's literally like if you have a habit of it's just his habit. Like he had a habit of drinking.
Hmm.
I wouldn't call it alcoholism, but I mean he would just like like when you drink and then you snack a lot.
Oh,
He's doing a lot
yeah.
of that. So like because he stopped drinking, stopped snacking
Hmm.
as much, and then the weight just came off.
That's facts.
Which I'm very jealous of. It's not. It's really not fair.
I mean, like at first I didn't understand the appeal of White Claws. But I know that a lot of people like it because it's like 100 calories with alcohol. Because
Mhm.
if you really look at it, like a can of beer, low key be having a lot of calories, a lot of empty calories.
And it's like
Um,
really easy just to like be like, oh, it's like seltzer water, so it's
right,
not a big deal. Like I'm not really drinking, but then you are.
you're right. Okay, let me think about my parents. Okay, I'm going to, put a little, not a twist, but like I'm not going to say which parent because I feel like that would be bad if I just said like from this parent I want to
Your
let
your
go.
dad like kicks down your door. What'd you say about me?
But okay, I will go with the let go one first. So one trait I would like to let go of is when I'm upset, not communicating that I am upset. I think I kind of gained that whole like silent treatment type of coping mechanism from my parents. Just because growing up, they grew up in a time where it wasn't as normalized to be self-aware or to communicate boundaries, right? And also since my dad immigrated here when he was a kid, there like he dealt with like a language barrier here in the States. So obviously like if he was feeling uneasy or something or upset, he would just keep it to himself, especially if it was at school.
I'm not
So
going to tell you which parent it is.
and then from my mom, okay, I would say genuinely this one is from both of them. And I'm working on that. Clarence always sends me memes where it's like, bitches be like, communicate. Communication is key, and then ghost you for 2 weeks. like
That's facts, bro.
literally randomly. I think Clarence knows this, but I think this one guy I was talking to, like he did one small thing that pissed me off, and I just ghosted him. like
Yeah, and then like a week later, you'd be like, "What's wrong with me?" And I'm like, "I don't know."
but I would say that's one trait I'm trying to let go of or work on like shifting it. And then a thing that I would really like to carry on, I would say, okay, this is both my parents then, is just being driven by passion and having that show through your work. Because I think both of my parents are in very different fields, but it's very, very apparent like why they are in the field that they are and that there's like a greater meaning behind their work beyond just like self-fulfillment, but like community and relationships. I think I do shout out to my mom. I think she's given me a lot of like her ability to empathize with others. My mom's a therapist, so there's ups and downs with that because I think my mom was very used to working with clients and empathizing with them, but they don't teach you in school like how to empathize like with your family or like that's a whole
Yeah.
nother ball game. So that's what I'm trying to keep. um I would say that I mean, I would like to think that people think I'm an empathetic person. That's what I've heard, but Clarence is like, fuck no.
Nah, man.
Ah, but oh, okay, I'm looking through these questions and some of them are so funny. It's like, tell the other person to close their eyes and surprise them with a hug. And I'm like, I would not like that.
COVID.
Imagine it in person. Okay, let me find one.
Make it a good one. It's the last one.
Damn.
The pressure is on.
Okay. I'm Okay, we're hitting it home, okay?
All right.
What about you feels the hardest to love?
Hey, keep in mind it's only
It's all
11:30 on a Monday. Damn, dude, what's the hardest thing? Hmm.
For those of you that don't know, like I personally like love talking about love and relationships. And not that Clarence doesn't like it, but I feel like I'm always trying to pick his brain about it because he's closed up. Just kidding. He's been
Literally,
actually
no.
very.
I'm just dumb. I don't know.
What is love? But I can also start if you would
Okay,
like me to.
you start this one.
Um, I think me at night, I'm like, I am unlovable. Just kidding. It's the trauma for me. Just kidding. So I would say that
Just kidding, just kidding.
I I would say one of the more difficult things to love about me, and this doesn't even mean romantically, it can also just mean platonically, is that I am a very indecisive person. So yeah, I think the main theme is like indecisiveness because in terms of like how I interact with some people, it can be sometimes inconsistent because my trust with them goes back and forth or my levels of comfort goes back and forth. And I really overthink like small interactions or overcalculate how I'm feeling. So that can translate into me being indecisive about, oh, like, do I actually want this? Do I actually want to be with this person? Or do I want to, invest time in this friendship? And so I think in terms of like people I've been friends with or people who I've dated, like that's a very difficult thing to like tolerate and love because it's on their end, it requires a lot more like stability and being grounded to be in that presence. And obviously, I'm not saying that like me being indecisive is like a solid part of who I am because I'm, I think I've grown a lot in that sense. Like I've become more grounded, but I'm still an indecisive person. So, I'd say that one is the trait that's hardest to love for me because it just requires a lot from the other person. Like it requires, yeah,
Yeah.
being kind of reassuring, being patient. Yeah, all my friends are so patient with me. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't say.
There's definitely been times where I like kind of freak out and Clarence like is like, hey, everything's gonna be fine. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sorry about that.
You're like, oh my bad.
Did you think of one?
Damn, that's a pretty good answer though. Like being indecisive. I would say that I'm also pretty indecisive too, just because maybe like not in the smaller. Well, actually, it could be like the very small decisions, like what boba order do I want? You know what I mean? But like also the bigger ones where it's like making purchases or fucking
Mm-hmm.
figuring out what I want to do for my career. But I think a lot of people experience that too.
Definitely.
Okay, wait. So this is in this like context of what I think would be hard for other people to love about me, or is it about myself? Like, what do I find?
I think I think it can be based on how you interpret it. Like I think the way I answered, I said for other people, but it's definitely like I also have a hard time, accepting that of myself. So
Hmm,
you can choose either or both.
that's a good question. I feel
I'll
like
answer for you. Just kidding. I do not know.
I think sometimes people might think like I feel like I come off shallow sometimes. You know what I mean? Like I only see the good in things, and so then people are like, "Oh, this person is not very like empathetic," or that's just like I think that's something that I see for myself, not necessarily like what people actually might think, but
Hmm.
to me, I'm like self-aware enough where I know that like I'm always almost too nice, and then it just comes off kind of it can come off kind of like pretentious, even
Mm,
almost, you know.
I see.
So I think, yeah, I hate that. Like, I'm so hyper aware of how I
Come
like
off to
talk to
others.
people. Yeah,
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
think, yeah, I like don't like the fact that I really do um hold like that people's perception of me really
Mhm.
high,
Mhm.
even though like I can still say like, oh, I don't give a fuck, like I don't care, but then in reality I do care. So,
Me.
I mean, I think a lot of people can say the same thing, but it's just like, yeah, I do find myself, I don't like the fact that I really do
Mhm.
care about what people say.
Mhm.
Like I wish I was able to just like
Mhm.
walk through the world and just be myself, but
Right.
that
That's definitely difficult, especially like just the field that we're in. Like, I think when, as designers, we're constantly having to think about, do people like my work? And that can sometimes translate to like, oh, do people like working with me, or do they think I'm like, I have good ideas? So it's so, yeah, it's hard to get, other people's perceptions outside of your head and not have it impact like how you carry yourself. But not gonna lie, I know that you are a more positive person, and I think we've talked about this, like you tend to be on like the neutral side because of that. Like you're more of a mediator than like someone that's like,
I definitely don't like conflict. That's one.
everyone that knows Clarence knows this. I think sometimes I'm like, fight with me, like fight, like let's get in there. But then I think there's a lot of pros, like there's just once again, Clarence is really good at like grounding people and like waiting for the calm after the storm and like waiting like helps bring clarity to people. But I wouldn't necessarily like, I think shallow, maybe that's how you perceive yourself or how you perceive that trait as
Maybe
yourself.
maybe on a deeper level, it's just like I have a lot of views about myself. Like I'm very critical of
Yeah.
myself, you know.
Mhm.
Maybe
Mhm.
like not necessarily my work, but just like my personality, and like I have severe imposter syndrome, and I'm just like, am I really
Yeah.
as cool as I want to be, or like as I think
Mm,
I am, or
mm,
something, you
mhm.
know?
Dude, it's I retweeted this, but it's like imposter syndrome, and then behind it, it's like, am I even good enough to have imposter syndrome?
That's so facts, bro. Because sometimes I'm like, am I really comparing myself to these people? Like,
Right,
am I even
right.
worth comparing myself
Mhm.
to these people? So,
It really be like that. But yeah, I think a takeaway from this question is that everyone does have like one trait or more that we perceive as really difficult to love or tolerate. But again, like I think time and time again, that's been proven wrong. Like we've been able to meet people that are willing to be patient and willing to see past that, or not even past that, but I heard about like compatibility is when you see like a flaw in someone, but it's
Mhm.
not actually like it's not the worst thing about them, or it's not even considered like a bad thing. It's just a part of who they are, right? Because if you're not compatible with someone, like their flaws will be like really irritating to you or like really annoying, right? And so that's essentially like how friends and partners stick around in your life. Like if you're compatible, if you're willing to, commit. So, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. You're like writing this down.
Taking notes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I totally
Yeah.
agree with you. Not just me over here taking notes.
But yes, everyone, we did want to kind of keep this episode short and sweet and just give an opportunity for y'all to get to know us a bit more, and just we've been really loving this game and really have loved the conversations that have taken place through this game. If you we're not really strangers, if you want to hit us with a sponsor, let us know. Just kidding. I
Smash the
wish.
subscribe button and the like
Like,
button.
share. But as per usual, we love to end our episodes with songs of the week.
Yeah.
Um, do you want to go first, or shall I go first?
I can go first.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so actually, fuck. Now I don't know which one I want to pick.
I can.
I I okay, wait, wait. I did have recently. I started listening to my Guaylo playlist, which is like all the like
Mm,
alternative kind of rock music.
Guaylo,
Um,
Guaylo.
yeah, and it's such a vibe, you know. Like I feel like you find yourselves in these moments when you just keep listening to like a certain genre. So for you, Jubilee, maybe it's like just a bunch of simp songs, and you. No, I mean, like, for me too, like, I listen to, like, a lot of like, I don't listen to, like, boom bap rap that often, or, like, kind of trap music as much, and so, like,
Mhm,
when I do hear it, it's, like, a very, you know, big shift in, like, the mood. Usually when I listen to trap music, it's, like, at a party kind of fun,
mhm,
so
mhm,
that's what I feel like when I listen to it, and so then, like, when I was listening to more, like, alternative, my Guaylo playlist, it was a vibe,
mhm, yeah,
especially, like, when you're just trying to jam out and have a good time,
mhm.
yourself or whatnot. So, I really like listening to The Middle. The Middle by Jimmy Eat World. That song is so good, bro. It's just such a banger. Um, I will say that the next time we can hit a karaoke place, like, I wanna sing that song.
Dude, I actually haven't been to, like, a karaoke place, really.
Like a proper one.
Mm-mm.
Wow.
I
It's really fun. You just gotta have the right, like, number and, like, type of person there with you.
Yeah, I think for one of my friend's birthday parties, there was, like, 20 of us in one room, and that was kinda, like, my first time in America, like, being in a karaoke room, but that'll be the first stop post-COVID.
Yeah, but,
Um,
what about you?
yeah, I think recently I don't know if my friends that follow me on Spotify have been seeing me listen a lot to this, but I this kinda started at the new year, but I was exploring, just different playlists and different genres and trying to find, like, a new sound that would bring me peace because, I don't know, my music was just getting really repetitive, and I was like, "Bro, I don't
I
wanna."
feel that, bro. Like, I've been
Mhm.
like, you just find yourself listening to the same
Yeah,
I mean,
it just
like,
feels
it's
like
the
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 same
same 100
rotation.
songs, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, you like all these songs, and then you put them in a playlist, and you put the same songs into different playlists.
Right. Yeah, it's like I saw that on Twitter, it's like, bro, my favorite thing to do is making playlists, but then, like, the same 10 songs are always on every single playlist.
Yeah.
But I've been liking a lot of more, like, oldies and more jazz tunes, and I was listening for a long time of, like, just the Moon River, Louis Armstrong radio, and I think that brought me a sense of peace that was really like warm and comforting. So
Mm,
my song of the week is "Unforgettable" by Nat King Cole,
unforgettable.
and there's one that features what's her name, Nora Jones. And that's my favorite one.
Wow.
So
Well,
unforgettable.
yeah, I recently started following one of my buddy's playlist, and it's, like, a fucking, like, 3-hour oh, shit. Just kidding. It's an 11-hour
11 hours.
It's the Eternal Soul Library, and it's just like all
Mm,
these songs. I'll forward it to you because I think you might like
yeah,
it. But
send it my way.
yeah, it's amazing. It's definitely just you just can't beat those classics. They're
Mhm.
just so good, so timeless.
Yeah, I agree. But
But yes, thank you so much for listening, everyone. We had a blast, just kind of going back to our roots and doing this episode with just us two. Um,
mhm.
and we have more to come. We may be taking a short hiatus just to kind of recuperate and is that a word? Recuperate.
Rejuvenate?
I
We
will take that back.
I it sounds familiar though, so
Anyways, yeah, we just we want to make sure that we are delivering the best quality episodes and very interesting like different guests for each episode as well. And so
Mhm,
in that time, we want to just make sure that we are planning everything and outlining our schedule so that we have a consistent flow of episodes, but also, again, like these interesting, unique people on the show. And I think we should do more of these too, where it's just us two. It's really fun to.
Just the two of us. We can.
All
Oh,
right, Jubilee, play us out.
anyway, so peace out, everyone. Just kidding. But yeah, everyone stay safe, mask up. We hope that y'all are taking care of yourselves both physically and mentally. Just reach out if you ever want to connect. We're always looking for new friends. But yes, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will talk to y'all soon. Peace.
Peace.